looking to connect a region of over 600 million bridges between our lands.
Hello and welcome to ASEAN in Focus. I'm Judith Amero delivering to you the latest news in and around the ASEAN region on today's headlines. President Duterte lauded the heroism of both Filipino and American soldiers who fought in Bataan in 1942 during the commemoration of Araw ng Kagitingan or Day of Valor on Tuesday. Foreign Minister of the Republic of Korea, or ROK Kang Kyung-hwa, reaffirmed ROK's strong commitment to further strengthen its strategic partnership with ASEAN during her visit to the ASEAN Secretariat. And 3 divers who helped rescue a Thai football team last year have made a fresh discovery in Vietnam, where they explored a tunnel that could expand the footprint of the world's largest cave. President Duterte lauded the heroism of both Filipino and American soldiers who fought in Bataan in 1942 during the commemoration of Araw ng Kagitingan or Day of Valor on Tuesday. He said, "Today we remember the heroism of the brave Filipino and American soldiers who stood side by side in the mountains and jungles of Bataan in defense of our liberty and democracy," Duterte said in his message. He also said, "We also remember the countless civilians who aided our forces so they could offer a valiant defense against the overwhelming force of the enemy." Duterte meanwhile reminded Filipinos to take inspiration from Filipino war veterans and uphold the country's sovereignty. He said, "As we hold this solemn observance, it is my hope that we will all be inspired to remain steadfast, like our forefathers and their allies, in upholding our sovereignty and in protecting the rights and freedoms that our people enjoy today." The president said that although the government would not be able to memorialize all war veterans, it will honor what he described as their epic struggle and unshakable fortitude. He said, "I join our veterans, allies, and the rest of the Filipino people in commemorating Araw ng Kagitingan. May we all have a meaningful celebration," he added. After 93 days of resistance, Filipino and American soldiers fighting war against the well-armed Japanese soldiers in Bataan were forced to surrender to the superior force in April 9, 1942. The Japanese imprisoned some 70,000 Filipino and American troops and made them walk around 112 kilometers from Mariveles, Bataan to Capas, Tarlac under the sun, with no food and water for days. The Japanese guards mistreated the soldiers while they trekked in intense heat. Thousands of soldiers collapsed in the process that came to be known as the Bataan Death March. By virtue of Executive Order 203 S 1987, April 9 of every year is Araw ng Kagitingan. Meanwhile, President Duterte said he is confident that the Islamic State or ISIS will never gain foothold in the Philippines, thanks to the military's efforts to counter violent extremism. Duterte, in his Araw ng Kagitingan speech in Holosulu on Tuesday night, lauded the military's accomplishments against the ISIS-inspired Abu Sayyaf group or ASG bandits. He said that the commemoration of the fall of Bataan is a fitting occasion to also honor the troops for their relentless efforts against lawless elements that threaten the security of the nation.
I am especially pleased with our military's recent accomplishments against the Abu Sayyaf group. Your efforts have brought us even closer to our ultimate objective of totally crushing the violent extremism at its roots. With this, I can confidently declare that ISIS will never gain foothold anywhere in the Philippines.
The president admitted that ISIS is a cause for concern. He, however, assured that the military would continue to curb the movement of terrorists.
There is the ISIS that we have to worry here in this part, Sulu, up and down, Basilan. We just have to fight and fight. But anyway, foremost ang trabaho ko is to protect also my soldiers. And you will have it.
Duterte, as the military's commander-in-chief, also renewed his commitment to modernize the armed forces of the Philippines, or AFP, and prioritize their needs.
Let me assure you that you have the government continue to prioritize your welfare and that of your families. That during my time, you will be rewarded with a good pay and service and everything that you need after.
Duterte meanwhile taunted communist rebels, saying that he is not afraid of them even if the peace and negotiations are over.
Binakita nila na ayaw na nila at kung gano'n lang, bastusan lang rin. Pero ko, tapos na tayo mag-usap. Ngayon gusto nyo, patayan na lang. Sabi ko, karami kong sundalo, karami kong eroplano, karami kong matatapang na sundalo. Bakit naman takot sa inyo?
In 2017, the president formally terminated the peace talks with communist rebels due to the continued attacks staged by New People's Army rebels against government troops and civilians. Last month, Malacanang also confirmed the termination of the appointments of government peace negotiators with communist rebels in view of the termination of the peace negotiations. Executive Secretary Salvador Medialdea signed the termination letters by order of the president on March 18. The Communist Party of the Philippines, NPA, is listed as a terrorist organization by the United States, the European Union, the United Kingdom, Australia, Canada, New Zealand, and the Philippines. In other news, Singapore's leader insisted Tuesday his government's proposed fake news laws were a step forward in fighting online falsehoods after they sparked criticism from press freedom groups and tech giants. Singapore, widely criticized for restricting free speech and clamping down on political rights, last week unveiled tough measures to fight fake news. This included powers for ministers to order sites like Facebook, Google, and Twitter to put warnings next to posts authorities deem false, and in extreme cases get them removed, as well as fines and jail terms in serious cases. Speaking during a visit to Malaysia, Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong said that fake news was a serious problem, and other countries including France, Germany, and Australia were legislating to combat it.
This is a problem, the problem of fake news, of deliberate false statements being proliferated online is a serious problem which confronts many countries. So I'm not surprised that Reporters Without Borders criticizes it. They criticize many things about Singapore's media management, but what we have done has worked for Singapore, and it's our objective to continue to do things which will work for Singapore.
But his Malaysian counterpart, Mahathir Mohamad, who has long had a prickly relationship with the neighboring city-state, told a joint press conference he was worried that governments could abuse such laws.
Prime Minister of Malaysia.
When we have a law that prevents people from airing their views, then we are afraid that the government itself may abuse the law.
The two leaders were speaking after talks Tuesday aimed at resolving territorial disputes that had strained ties since Mahathir's alliance swept to power in elections last May. The bill unveiled last week includes a jail term of up to 10 years and hefty fines. Rights groups have voiced fears it could stifle free speech, but Lee said their objective is to continue to do things that will work for Singapore. When Indonesian authorities arrested a politician with some 400,000 cash-filled envelopes, it was a stark reminder that a long-time election staple is alive and well in the corruption-riddled country, vote buying. Bowo Sidik Pangarso was detained last month for alleged embezzlement from a fertilizer firm. But officials also discovered the lawmaker had boxes stuffed with envelopes of low-denomination notes, totaling about 8 billion rupiah, or $565,000.
Terjadi karena ini diduga dilakukan oleh seorang anggota DPR RI yang sedang yang mencalonkan diri di daerah pemilihan Jawa Tengah untuk pemilu 2019 yang akan datang pada tanggal 17 nanti. Maka tim bergerak menuju sebuah kantor di Jakarta untuk mengamankan uang sekitar 8 miliar rupiah dalam pecahan 20.000 dan 50.000 yang telah dimasukkan dalam amplop sebanyak 84 kardus 10.000, dan ini memang tujuannya adalah untuk serangan fajar. Itu menurut pengakuan dari dia. Untuk apa? Untuk kepentingan dia, karena dia akan mencalonkan diri sebagai DPR untuk
Grabbuster suspect the cash was earmarked for a so-called dawn attack, a widespread ploy in the Southeast Asian archipelago where people receive cash early on voting day in a bid to sway their ballot choice. Some 192 million Indonesians, rather, are set to vote next week across the world's third biggest democracy, electing officials from local legislators to president. Indonesia is riddled with corruption at all levels of society, and its parliament is widely viewed as one of its most graft-hit institutions, even 2 decades after the fall of the Suharto dictatorship, among the most corrupt in history. With a record 245,000 candidates in the running, the April 17 poll presents a huge challenge for the Corruption Eradication Commission, which is already probing dozens of vote-buying cases.
Visiting the Philippines, Manila or Quezon City is a popular destination. But oftentimes the hustle and bustle of the city can be more stressful on your vacation. So when you feel the need to reconnect to nature or relax again, there's a beautiful oasis just outside of the city called the Garden at Ciudad de Victoria. That you can see here include hydrangea, snapdragon, and stargazers. They're truly beautiful. The gardens at Ciudad de Victoria are so peaceful, tranquil, and beautiful that it's become a haven for young couples and a very popular venue for engagement photos. The next time you want an escape from the big city, the garden at Ciudad de Victoria is a wonderful place to visit.
welcome back. Bangladesh deployed heavily armed border guards to an island near its southern border with Myanmar for the first time in 20 years, the official said. Border Guard Bangladesh, or BGB, distributed images showing dozens of troops carrying assault rifles disembarking at St. Martin's Island, a small island in the Bay of Bengal that has caused diplomatic tensions between the neighbors. The BGB said that troop deployment was part of regular activities to ensure border protection and curb drug trafficking. But the force's Lieutenant Colonel Sarkar Muhammad Mustafizur Rahman told media it was their first time since 1997 their men had landed there. The deployment comes just 2 months after Bangladesh's foreign ministry summoned Myanmar's ambassador in Dhaka to protest the inclusion of St. Martin inside their territory in some maps printed inside the Southeast Asian country. He was also summoned in October last year after a Myanmar government website depicted the island as within Myanmar's territory. Ties between the neighbors have soured since the Myanmar military launched a crackdown on the Rohingya minority in Rakhine, a troubled western state bordering Bangladesh.
মাদকের একটা রুট হিসাবে ব্যবহৃত হয় সেন্ট মার্টিনসটা, যেটা আমাদের কাছে কিছু তথ্য ছিল, এবং মালয়েশিয়াগামী রোহিঙ্গা মালয়েশিয়াগামী হিসাবে এই দ্বীপের পাশ দিয়ে আসা যাওয়া করে। সো এটাকে বন্ধ করা আমাদের অন্যতম একটা দায়িত্ব হিসেবে বিজিবি মোতায়েন করেছি, এবং আমরা আমাদের জনবল অস্ত্র সহকারী এখানে মোতায়েন হয়েছি, যাতে বহির্দেশের কোনো আক্রমণ যাতে এখানে না আসে বা এই দ্বীপকে নিয়ে অন্য কেউ যত কোনো চিন্তা ভাবনা করতে না পারে এটা বন্ধ করা, এবং আমাদের নিয়মিত বা রুটিন যেই আমাদের দায়িত্বগুলো আছে সেটা পালন করার জন্যই বর্ডার গার্ড বাংলাদেশ ওখানে মোতায়েন হয়েছে।
In other news, the Foreign Minister of the Republic of Korea, or ROK Kang Kyung-hwa, reaffirmed ROK's strong commitment to further strengthen its strategic partnership with ASEAN during her visit to the ASEAN Secretariat. Minister Kang met with the Secretary-General of ASEAN, Dato Lim Jak Hoi, and underlined ROK's commitment to strengthen its partnership and cooperation with ASEAN as part of the new Southern policy announced by President Moon Jae-in in 2017. She also conveyed ROK's continued support for ASEAN community building and ASEAN's central role in promoting peace, stability, and prosperity in the region. Secretary-General Dato Lim underscored the importance of the ASEAN-ROK partnership in support of ASEAN community building. He welcomed the ROK's plan to double its contribution to the ASEAN-Korea Cooperation Fund this year to support more cooperation programs and projects, and the strengthening of the ROK mission to ASEAN in Jakarta to facilitate closer engagement with the ASEAN Secretariat and ASEAN sectoral bodies. Foreign Minister Kang expressed ROK's willingness to enhance cooperation with ASEAN in areas of shared interest, such as digital economy, cybersecurity, disaster management, and humanitarian assistance. Both sides stressed the significance of this year as the 30th anniversary of ASEAN-ROK dialogue relations, with a series of activities planned to celebrate the milestone. Dato Lim welcomed ROK's hosting of the ASEAN-ROK Commemorative Summit, which is set to take place on the 25th to 26th of November in Busan, and assured the ASEAN Secretariat's full support in preparing for the substantive and meaningful outcomes of the commemorative summit to further advance relations. To date, Foreign Minister Kang Kyung-hwa is the highest-ranking official of the ROK to visit the ASEAN Secretariat. Meanwhile, ASEAN and Australia held the 13th Joint Planning and Review Committee, or JPRC, meeting of the second phase of the ASEAN-Australia Development Cooperation Program, or the AADCP2, at the ASEAN Secretariat in Jakarta on the 5th of April. The meeting was co-chaired by Ambassador Dato Sharifa Norhana Shed Mustafa, Permanent Representative of Malaysia to ASEAN and Australian Ambassador to ASEAN Jane Duke. The meeting reviewed the implementation of the AADCP2 and discussed its way forward. It also highlighted AADCP2's valued contributions to ASEAN regional economic integration, ASEAN connectivity, narrowing the development gap, and capacity building of the ASEAN Secretariat. The meeting noted with appreciation the agreement between ASEAN and Australia to extend the program until the 31st of December 2021, in order to complete the implementation of several of the ongoing and new projects and to prepare the design of the new program. Ambassador Duque informed that AADCP2 remains a strong component of the ASEAN-Australia strategic partnership. Ambassador Sharifa, in return on behalf of the ASEAN member states, expressed appreciation for the long-standing support Australia provided in supporting the ASEAN Vision 2025. Forging ahead together, particularly the ASEAN Economic Community Blueprint, Master Plan on ASEAN Connectivity 2025, and Initiative for ASEAN Integration Work Plan 3 in areas such as consumer protection, financial integration, agriculture investment, tourism, energy and minerals. Malaysia currently serves as the ASEAN country coordinator for ASEAN-Australia dialogue relations. The program management team reported that 62 projects have been completed under the Rolling Priority or Prioritization Plan or RPP. Further, the team reported that between July 2018 and June 2019, 19 projects are ongoing. 7 projects have been approved and 4 new projects are in the pipeline. The 13th JPRC meeting approved the RPP 2018-2019.
Events happen around us all the time, in our community, in our country, around the world. Events that affect people, move communities, or simply inspire us. Interesting events that people need to know. In these interesting times, we continue to be a competent partner in delivering news about these events. Fast, accurate, balanced, eagle news, because we live in interesting times.
Welcome back. Protesters descended on the Chinese embassy in Manila on Tuesday to oppose the Asian superpower's growing sway in the Philippines and as tensions rise over Beijing's presence in the disputed South China Sea. Filipino flag-waving marchers chanted "China out" and brandished a banner saying "Defend our sovereign rights," referring to Beijing's expansive claims to the resource-rich waterway. While Duterte has largely set aside the once heated territorial standoff over the sea, tensions have flared since hundreds of Chinese vessels appeared recently near the Manila-held Pag-asa Island, according to journalists on the scene. The marchers dispersed peacefully after the demonstration. Protesters also voiced simmering unease over the terms Chinese loans for infrastructure in the Philippines, including a massive dam building project. China is poised to loan a sum $210 million toward the construction of the Kaliwa Dam, a project that has been delayed for years and would fill gaps in the Philippines' chronic need for infrastructure.
Mensahe namin sa China, huwag angkinin ang hindi para sa inyo. Ang para sa Pilipinas, para sa Pilipino.
Sa buong kasaysayan ng Pilipinas, ngayon lamang nangyari itong tahasang panghihimasok na hindi man lamang kumikilos ang inyong administrasyon at sa pangunguna mo, Presidente Duterte. Parang invasion na yung nangyayari ng China dito eh. Unay mga
So, hindi natin dapat payagan ang mga ganitong aksyon o mga mapangahas na hakbang ng China para lamang makuha niya at makontrol yung sambayan ng Pilipino at makuha niya ng buong buo pati ang ating mga soberanya at kalayaan.
Meanwhile, 3 divers who helped rescue a Thai football team last year have made a fresh discovery in Vietnam, where they explored a tunnel that could expand the footprint of the world's largest cave. Take a look.
myself, Rick Stanton and Chris Jewell explored down to a total depth of minus 77 metres, which is probably a little bit too far for the gas we were breathing, but it gave us a good indication that we were in a new tunnel which was heading even deeper than 77 metres. There's a possibility that there might be a higher roof, and the floor was deep, but the roof of the tunnel was much shallower, so there was potential for us.
And that is the latest news in the Southeast Asian nations. Stay updated about the ASEAN region. I'm Judith Emera, and I'm 1 with 25.